Okay, gentlemen, how you doing? We're going to take a look at Golf Genius in this recording, show you all of the different ways that you can set up all the different methods and steps involved in setting up a game for our men's club. Now, one thing you need to understand about the program itself is it's not a downloadable application that you might be familiar with, where you simply download the app, install it on your local system, and then run it from your local system. That's not the way it works. Golf Genius is a browser-based application. This means that any time that you have access to the internet, you should be able to log into Golf Genius and perform any of the functionality that Golf Genius provides for you. So you don't have to rely. You could use your cell phone, you could use your iPad, you could use a laptop computer, desktop computer. All you really need is an internet connection, and you're good to go. And so with that in mind, whatever your favorite browser is, that's what you're going to use. You're going to open up a browser, and as a browser-based application, you're going to then log into Golf Genius. So your various browsers include like Microsoft Edge, the Firefox browser, Chrome is a browser. If you're on an Apple system, Safari would be the browser that you would use. It makes no difference which browser you use or what product, Apple or Windows or otherwise, that you're using to access the internet. So with that in mind, let's see if we can call up some screens here and step you right through the entire process. So I'm sharing with you right now the login page. So if you take a look at, here, just stand by one quick minute while I do something. Yeah, I wanted to get my pointer nice and large so that you can see it as we step through everything. So when you log in, this is what we call a URL address bar up top here. And you can see it's https://www.golfgenius.com. And when you log in there, you'll get their standard page, and up in the upper right-hand corner, there'll be a sign-in button. And when you click the sign-in button, this is the screen that you will then see. This is your login page. Now, with most systems, you basically only going through this process one time. Your browser is going to remember your login and information, and it's going to just very quickly log you in, so you don't have to go through this every single time. Here I'm going to put in my email address, which is the same email address I have in Golf Genius, and I'm going to type in my password. I hope I remember it. Because I very rarely have to do this, my browser always remembers it. I check up here in the corner, and you see that while that wheel is spinning, the software is accessing the page that I'm going to have access to. This is the entry page for Golf Genius. There are a number of pages. We don't deal with this entry page. There's hardly anything. You just need to do one thing on this entry page, and that's to get us to our league. Now, if you've used this before and you've been to our league will show up right here. It'll say 2024 Castle Oaks Senior Men's Club, and as the last visited league. Now, if you don't see anything here like that, precisely like that, then you scroll down here to where it says Castle Oaks Senior Men, and you click there. And then that'll open up the active leagues for our club right now. You'll also notice the Castle Oaks Swingers are here. And if you click on them, they have a similarly named league, except of course it's for the swingers. So you do not want to mess with their league. Just make sure that when you enter a league, that you're entering the proper one. You can do it from here, or if it's available up here, you can do it from here. Forget about all this stuff up top. This is all what we call back office stuff. This is the stuff I have to deal with at various times under various circumstances. You don't need to deal with that at all. So we click on our Castle Oaks 2024 Castle Oaks Senior Men's Club, and it takes us to this page. And this is what we call basically a dashboard. Um, Significantly, I want you to pay attention to what's going on in this area right across here. This is what we call a breadcrumb. Each time that we've gone, like the first page we entered was Castle Oaks Senior Men's Golf Club. That was the first page we came to. When we clicked on our league, then we came to this page, which is the dashboard page. So what's going to happen is each time that we progress through the various pages that we're going to deal with, it'll show up here in breadcrumb form. And we can click and go back to any page that we want just by clicking on the appropriate breadcrumb. That way, we can avoid using the back arrow. The back arrow, most of the time will get us there, but sometimes it gives you some weird results. The breadcrumb is pretty reliable. All right, so you don't do anything with the league per se. You see across the top here, you have league, you have golfers, you have calendar, rounds, and apps. You're not going to deal with apps. You're not going to deal with the golfers. Though if you did have any need to pick up a league roster, this is where you'll get it under golfers. There's your league roster. And you can print out your league roster from here if you've had a need to do that. But going here also, I use this just to reference the fact that we have 98 players. And when Kim Smith sends out the spreadsheet, which he keeps separately from Golf Genius regarding our paid membership, that total should be the same. In other words, he should have 98 paid members on his spreadsheet, and I have 98 members here. So we take a look at calendar. Now, calendar is a page that you're going to deal with. All right. There are only 3 options here. You are going to use the tabular view option all the time. Okay, so you'll click on that, and what's going to appear is a listing of all of our rounds of play. Now, one of the back office functions that I do in the beginning of the year is to set up all of these rounds in this page so that the round managers, the game managers like you, can simply go to the game and begin your process of setting the game up. Now, the information that you see on this page, the important thing is your participant limit. Your participant limit means that that's the number of players that game will automatically include. After that number, anybody who signs up after that number is waitlisted automatically by the system. So as you scroll down here, you see this number is changing. There seems to be a pattern to it, and there is. But as we get down through the year, we negotiate with the pro shop, and oftentimes we have to change this number. We just did that recently. I'm shooting this video on July 5th, and on July 3rd, we renegotiated with the pro shop because we weren't getting as much play as we had in the past. So right now we've set up Mondays for 32 plays, and we set up Wednesdays for 28 players and Fridays for 36 players. Now this limit can be changed anytime, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. But these, as you can see, they're all set up for the year. And as I said before, I manage this primarily. And if you need to have that changed for some reason, you just contact me. I'll do it for you if you're uncomfortable doing it. The way that we change this, by the way, is to go over here to more information for the round. We click on more information, and a page will open up that has multiple tabs in it. You have to scroll up to see the tabs: general settings, handicap settings, signups and scheduling, tournament scoring. And you're not going to deal with any of this. Signups and scheduling is what you're going to use to change the limit. So you can set up a limit of golfers for this round. That simply means that's the max that the system will take automatically. Anything over that, people get waitlisted, and we'll get to the wait list here in this video in a moment. As you can see, there are a lot of parameters for the round settings. The general parameters is where we go to see the name of the round, for instance. We get to see when the signups open. That means when invitations go out to the members and when the signups close. And all of this is all preset for you. You don't have to worry about it. So again, here's your breadcrumb, your round profile now. I want to go back to the calendar. So I'm going to click calendar and then tabular view. And there is my calendar again. As you can see, when you see schedule, that means we've already played those rounds. Those rounds are gone. So the next available round will be Monday, and it'll be July 8th. And it looks like Terry will be doing that round. Now, what is very important for you is, as you notice, if you scroll down here, some of these rounds simply have a round number in it, like round 99, round 100. This would be a Friday round, August 16th, and whoever the Friday round manager is has not entered in what his game is going to be on August 16th. So that's why it just says round 99. All of the round managers will go in here and select their specific rounds and choose whatever game they want to play. And then they will go in there and they will actually put the game in there. Having the game in there is very important because whatever you see here, like last man standing, Terry, that's what's going to appear on the printed scorecard. So we need to make sure that the game is correctly stated here. And that's your job. That's one of the things that you need to do. I'm going to set up another bogus date here and then show you how to make these changes. So what I did was I added another round in here. I added July 9th, which is a Tuesday. So this is a bogus round. I just want to show you, if you click on here, for instance, it shows you is the 9th. It's on a Tuesday in July. So this is definitely a bogus round. We don't play on Tuesdays. I wanted to show you how easy it is just to change the name of the game. So I'm going to do a 666 on this bogus round day. I just click on it, take my keyboard, and I start typing 666. And it's going to be, this is a bogus round. And in parentheses, I put my name. You can use your first name, or if we have multiple, like we have multiple Mikes. We have Mike Evans, we have Mike Donatelli, we have Mike Cullender. So they put their last names in there. This helps the other managers as they scroll through. They say Kip. Oh yeah, Kip does, in this case, a Tuesday. But let's say Kip does Wednesdays. So and Cullender does Wednesday. So this is a Wednesday. See, I can tell by looking at the name, in other words, what day of the week it is. I know that Terry does Mondays. Ernie's does Mondays also. So somebody's filling in for somebody here. So at any rate, the idea is once I hit my enter key, that round is named, and I'm going to use this bogus round now to continue with this video to show you what happens next. So anytime, like if you want to change the name of the game, they want to change the game that you're playing, this is the process you go through. You go to calendar, you click on calendar, you click on tabular view, and when the calendar comes up, you go to the appropriate date that you want to change, and you make the change that you want over here in this section. Okay. Again, if you're uncomfortable with changing the participant limit, you don't want to do that without coordinating with the Pro Shop, by the way. The way this works with the Pro Shop, this might be a good place to mention this. The Pro Shop will give us one squeeze. In other words, if we have reserved with the Pro Shop 32 players, you divide that by 4, that's 8 playing spots or 8 foursomes. If we show up with 9, they'll squeeze us in. They'll give us the squeeze play. But if we show up with 10, there's going to be an issue. And so they can't squeeze twice. So they need to know ahead of time if you're going to go from from 32 to 40, let's say, don't just make the change here. You need to contact the pro shop because they're expecting you to have 32 players. You just don't change it to 40 without bringing them into the loop. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. And each manager, by the way, is responsible for communicating directly with the pro shop regarding games that they play. You'll begin to see a little bit better as we move on here how that's all done. So, like I said, you won't deal with league. You're not going to deal with golfers. You're not going to deal with apps. Rounds is the place where you're going to spend most of your time. So when you click on rounds, you will get a listing here. First of all, take a look at this page. It's broken into 3 panels. The left-hand panel has to do with choosing the round that you want to deal with. Also, the left-hand panel is where you see anything about email. So anytime that you want to do an email to the members, you've got to be in the rounds page. This gives you access to the email function. The center panel all has to deal with the round that you're dealing with. So let's select our bogus round here. Here it is right down here. If we click this down arrow, we get the listing of those rounds that you saw over in the calendar page. And here is the 666 bogus round with Kip Carvey. So I'm going to click on it. And because I just added that round, I'm going to click start planning the round. And it's not so much me planning the round. It's the system. It's Golf Genius itself. As you can see, is doing this whirly thing. And it's beginning to set up this particular game in its database system. Okay. So once the round is set up, see, again, we're in dashboard here. Here's the breadcrumb dashboard. We don't want dashboard. We want to go back to 666 bogus round. So we click there. That brings us back to this page. Okay, open signups and close signups. Well, we're not going to deal with that per se. That's all done automatically by the system. The invitations have gone out. Guys have signed up. What we need to do is concern ourselves with what's happening when guys are signing up, or when guys decide that they cannot play. And that's the first step here. We go to the round player roster. And when we do that, we see these 4 tabs: confirmed players, waitlisted players, invited players, and players not attending. Back to that tabbed page again. Here, I got to put some players in. That's the problem. So if I go to waitlisted, I'm not going to see any, and nobody's waitlisted. The invitations weren't really set up. This is a bogus round. The invited players, no invitations went out. So players not attending is going to be the entire league of players. So now I'm going to add a bunch of players here, and I'm going to make myself one of them. So I'm just going to randomly select some players: Bill Lewis, Bill Tiemeyer, Carl Gillette, Brad DeBenning, Bob Grover, Dana Penny, Dean Svedberg, Dick Schaefer, Delbert. And as you see, I'm just randomly checking. Anytime you look at any of these pages, there'll be these check boxes next to the name. And that's what you do when you're, excuse me, when you're selecting various players. We'll put Jim Mayo in, Jim Raymond. I'll get over here. Wayne Neff, Vic Dowdy, Rod Dodson, Rich Pember, Steve Franzen. I don't even know who Matt Peterson is. I know almost every guy in this league: Pat Holland, Paul Grange, Larry Sevis, John Van, John Schoberg, Don Carr, Jerry Jolly. Just add a bunch of names here. I don't even know how many I have, but I don't have to worry about it. Now, across the top here, you can sort them by their handle. That's the handle means first name, last name. You can sort them by last name, by the handicap index, and all this kind of stuff. Just leave this at the handle. Filter by affiliation. Every member is affiliated with the Castle Oaks Senior Men's Club. So there's only going to be one affiliation here. And that's what it is. If you drop down, that's all you're going to see. And then the action we want is, I want these everybody I checked off marked as attending. So when I say go, this warning will come up here. You sure you want to add all these players? And I'll say, yeah, okay, add them. And now I go back to my confirmed players list, and there they are. They've all been added. I've got 30 confirmed players. Okay. There's one more player I want to add just to show you something here. Brian Barber. I want to add him. Okay. Okay. I added Brian because he has no index. He's a brand new member. And I'm brand new members with no index have to play, I think it's 3 rounds, 3 or 5 rounds. I'm not sure. They have to actually post 3 rounds before this the GIN will generate a handicap index for them. And so they come and play with us without an index. So when Brian comes to play, he's going to check in, but he won't pay the $8 to play. Instead, what he's going to do is he is going to, I'm going to make sure, yeah. He's going to just play along with one of the foursomes, and we're going to put a blind draw in his place for the sake of the round and the payouts for that round. So he will not participate in the money until he has an established handicap. And he works that out with Paul Grange. Paul Grange is our handicap chairman this year, so he works that out with Paul. Paul advises him how many rounds he has to play. Paul helps the guy out, make sure that he knows how to post his rounds and that type of thing. All right, so moving on here, we see that we have now 31 confirmed players. And one of them is going to be an automatic blind draw. Okay, now let's go add our guest. So we're going to add a guest here, and he's going to be one of my guests. So I put my name in here. I just start typing, and it, so that type ahead buffer sees me. Sign up a guest who played before. No, sign up a guest who did not play in this league before. And I'm going to say yes. And the number of guests. The guest's first name is King, and his last name is Kong. He has a USGA index of 21.1. And yes, he's going to play with the host. Okay. Now I have to click this confirm box. I confirm that I am authorized to provide this information into Golf Genius. So I click here. If I don't click here, the save button is unavailable. See how it's ghosted out down here? There's no save. I can't save this information until I confirm that I'm authorized to do so. Then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to return back to my manage round players by clicking that breadcrumb. And all of a sudden, there's the guest tab. It just shows up. So the guest tab is here, and there is King Kong. And as you can see, I can remove him just by checking the name and going over here and say, Mark is not attending, Mark is waitlisted. I can do that type of thing to him. I can't send him an email because I don't know what his email address is. The system doesn't ask me that, and he's not currently in the system. Okay, so I don't have any waitlisted players, but I definitely should show 31. Now notice, this is important. Never change anything on the guest. The system will automatically include guests along with confirmed players, even though they didn't count the guest yet. So the system has not counted in the guest. But if you go back to the rounds page, you're going to see 32 players. So round player roster is now 32 players confirmed. If you go and check out the roster itself, you'll say it says 31 plus 1 guest. All right. That takes a little getting used to, but now you know how that works. Okay, the next thing you're going to do here in setting up this round is take a look at the other options down below. And you can see that some of them are grayed out. If they're grayed out, you won't be able to access them. Let me point something out to you here. You're never going to use enter scores. You're never going to use enter match results. You're never going to use post scores to gin, and you're never going to use display leaderboards. So these last four you can totally ignore. You will, and you can ignore tournaments as well. You're not going to use tournaments at all. All right. There are a few occasions during the year when I set up tournaments, like when the men and the ladies clubs play together in that midsummer roundup, whatever it is. That's a tournament, and I set this up myself because that's a whole separate different procedure from running regularly scheduled club play. Create pairings would be the next step for you. And by the way, rounds, divisions, flights, and teams, you don't ever use that. So skip that. You skip tournaments, skip enter scores, skip the rest of them. That means you're going to be dealing with create pairings, edit pairings, and print scorecards. Only those three. At this point now, we're going to say that things are shut off. That's why it says open signups here, because they're all shut off. And so we're ready to actually put the pairings together. So we're going to say create new pairings. And this is going to bring us to a page where the first thing we see is some parameters for this particular round of play. Every time you do a brand new round, you're going to go through this process. This process is written up for you in that written document that I sent to you, the PDF file. And if you want to read along with that, take that out now. Just pause the video for a minute and grab that document and open up to the appropriate page where it shows you about setting up a round. And but moving along here, it's really quite simple. You check automatic scheduling, and then this opens up. You want no flights. Step 3 opens up. You want A, B, C, D. And then under A, B, C, D, you choose the second optimize. Optimize for most diversity based on previous round pairings and balanced total indexes in each tee time. So you definitely want that. So the system is going to try to make it fair. They're going to try to put together the foursomes in such a manner that it's doing a lot here, by the way. It's not only keeping an eye on the combined play indexes or indices, it's also keeping an eye on who's played previously together and who hasn't played together to try to mix and match and get the guys to play. Now, when you have A, B, C, D, it's going to be difficult to mix guys who are A, because in each foursome, you're only going to have one A player. So you're not going to find 2 A players in the same foursome or 3 A players in the same foursome. So it won't mix that way because we've selected A, B, C, and D. But it will mix across the 4 flights, the A flight, B flight, C flight, and D flight. So now we click next, and it's going to ask us to verify this information. If we want to go back and edit, we would click edit to go back and change it. There are more scheduling options, but we don't ever use them. They're, like I said, these are default settings, and you don't use them. So we just click continue down the lower right-hand corner. And right now the system is putting together all of the foursomes for this particular day of play. When it gets done, you'll see the matrix of all of the players. So it's done now, and here it is. So this is how the system is treating the players. And you'll notice that Brian Barber, who has no index yet, is up top. He's the lowest. The guy with the lowest index, his index is 0. So he's going to show up as an A player, and yet we have no clue what Brian is going to be able to do. But from a procedure standpoint, once you reach this page, I want you to go over here, click additional information, check the box for handicap index, and check the box for T, then click save. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you that Peterson doesn't have a T. Anyway, it's going to show you the tees that these guys are playing on, and it puts their individual index numbers under the name. So you can see all the A players have got indexes that are less than 12.8 and under, and the B players are going to be from 12.9 on up to some magic number, then the C players, and then the D players. Okay, so at this point, let's take a look at these various buttons across the bottom. These are buttons that the description on the button tells us what the action is. If we want to swap two players around, we do so by clicking this button, then selecting the players that we want to swap. If we want to swap pairs around, that means foursomes. We can swap pairs. We can swap pairings. We can move pairings. We can add a new row. We can add new players, remove players. We can put the blinds in there if we want to set up the blinds first. We can swap holes, move holes. The first thing we want to do before we start moving anybody around is you want to set up the course and the tee. So the course, we click on Set Course and Tee, and the next step is select all players. Remember to do that. This highlights all the players in the grid. And we see that this default is the Castle Oaks Golf Course default tees. That's what we want. There'll be some other choices in here, as you can see. We have other choices. We play Wild Hawk sometimes. We play Mathers sometimes. And we set up for those. And there are all the different tees that we use and so on. But our default is Castle Oaks Golf Course default tees. We make sure this says all 18 holes. We click Apply. And then down here, we click Save Pairings. Every time we do a major change to the grid, we click Save Pairings. Now you can see that the course and the tees are added to the grid. So we have to go over here to say Set Shotgun. Again, select all. Don't leave this step out. We have to select everything. We want a reverse shotgun because we want the shotgun not to start at the 8th hole and on back again. We want it to start at hole number 1 and go back to 18. So we click reverse shotgun. And now the holes are reversed. We start at 1, 18, 17, 16, and so on. We have a total of 8 starting times, or 8 groups, if you will. But we don't do 1 off of each tee box. We usually do 2, except for the par 3. So we'll do 2 on 1, 2 on 18 for a total of 4, 2 on 17 for a total of 6, 1 on 16 for a total of 7, and 1 on 15 for a total of 8. Here we have to clear these out by putting zeros in here. If there's extra ones, we need to put the zeros in. And when we do this, we check down below here and make sure that the count says 8 for 8. If it says 8 for 8, then we've accommodated everybody. All right. So let's just review what we've done here. We did a select all. It's very important that we select all. Check the starting time. Starting hole is hole number 1. We did a reverse shotgun so that the holes are in reverse order. And then we entered how many starting groups were going off of each tee so that we accounted for all 8 of our groups. If we had 7, well, then we wouldn't have anything in 15. We'd have to put a 0 there. If we had 9, we would probably put a 2 in 15, and that would add up to 9. So that's the way that all works. We apply. And the minute we do that, we see how this has changed. The starting time is 8 a.m. for everybody instead of sequential times. Starting holes are all there in order for the group. And now we click Save to save that work. All right. And when it all comes back, so there's dark print again, then we know we're dealing with something else that we can work with. Now we know that our friend Brian Barber is well, if he doesn't have a handicap, he's probably not an A player. That's not fair to say across the board. He could be an A player. We don't know. Uh, but we're not going to put him in the A spot. Yeah, we're going to put him in some other spot. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the player with the next lowest handicap at 17, 16, 15, 17, 15, 2, 15 even. So it's going to be Mike Evans. So we're going to move Mike Evans over here, and we're going to move Brian to where Mike Evans is. So since we want to swap players, we click the swap players button. And it says click on two players to swap them. Okay, so we click on Barber and Evans. And right away, the two players are swapped. Now notice if you hover over a given player, we get information relative to that player. All right, you see his index. We see that at Castle Oaks, he's going to play for the men's tee, the gold men's tee, and he's playing all 18, and so on. And that's true for any player. He's going to be off the gold tee, but it's not showing here. Okay. All right. Okay, and Brian, of course, has no index. So we know that we're going to have to take a blind draw for him. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to wait for the day of play. When the scorecard comes in, we're going to grab Vic Dowdy's scorecard for his team. Brian's going to be on there. We're going to see what he shoots. If he shoots, let's say he shoots an 86. So par is 71. So that's 15 strokes over par. 15 strokes over par from our gold tees would be a handicap index of about 19. So we see that he's probably in the right area with a 19. If we go here and try to find a 19, Alan Beer says a 19. So he's okay in this column. We could swap him over here to this column and then use a blind draw for him. I would say Alan Beers would be, under the assumption I've made, if Brian Barber comes in with an 86, Alan Beers would be a good blind draw for him just based on the indexes. And so, and this is done at play day, actually with the scorecard, completed scorecards in front of you, you put down, you let Vic Dowdy know that he has a blind draw for Brian Barber, and the blind draw is Alan Beers. You wait for Paul Grange's card to come in and let Vic work on Paul Grange's card to get all the scores for Alan Beers and substitute them into this player's location. So that's the way that all works. Okay. Also, we need to find Kip Garvey. He's going to be up here somewhere. Here he is, right here. So Kip Garvey is running the game, and we want our game manager to go off the number one hole. In theory, there's nobody in front of them. They can play quickly, in theory. And so he needs to get back in as soon as possible to begin the calculations for the payouts and gathering the scorecards and all that type of thing. So we have to move this entire foursome from the number 7 spot up to the number 1 spot. So what we want to do is we want to swap pairings. It says click on 2 pairing groups to swap them. So we're going to click on the one with Kip Garvey and the one with Mike Evans. And it's as simple as that. So now Mike Evans is down here in the number 7 spot going off on hole 16. And Kip Garvey is up here in the number 1 spot going off on 1A. All right, again, save the pairings. Every time you make a change, save them. And wait for the screen to come back to you. If you see that there's nothing here to save, that's because you haven't made any changes. As soon as you make a change, this will become active. All right, but let's just say now the last thing we want to do here Now, let's just say that everything's okay the way it is, except we want to just verify that the system has calculated reasonable indexes across the board. And with the index spread, so in this column with the gold boxes is the total of all the indexes for all the players in that foursome. And we want it to be probably no more than a 10-point spread. That's not a hard and fast rule, but generally a 10-point spread between the foursomes is a pretty fair balance. And we're not going to see that here. I see a 94.5 here, and I see a 67.7 there. Well, that's a huge difference. And so we're going to have to do something to balance this off. The other ones are all 73, 79, 70, 76, 76, 72. All right, so we're going to have to take the lowest handicap of the D players. Is it Pat Holland? Jerry Jolly? Let's say Jerry Jolly, and we're going to have to swap. We'll just take the lowest index. Okay, so we're going to swap players. We're going to swap Dick Schaefer and Al Marodi and see what that does. Okay, so swapping that has dropped them from 90, whatever they were for, down to 88. That's still a bit on the high side. But we have a 77 here, 73. Can I make another change here? Yeah, let's take the lowest one, 70.9, John Schoberg, and swap him with Dick Schaefer. Okay, now 83.9, that wasn't much of a help. But with 73 being our lowest and 83 being our highest, we're within that 10-point window. So that's pretty good. I think that's about as fair as we're going to be able to get here. We would have to find somebody lower than John Schoberg. And we could do that by swapping these two. It's not going to be a huge difference, but it drops that down to 82, this up to 74. Let's see, 25 and 26. That won't help. All right, so there we go. Now save pairings. Remember, always do that, save the pairings. Now we're at a point in our setup here. And again, this goes a lot faster when you're doing it in real time. It really goes quick when you get used to where everything is. Most of the guys have their game set up in about 15 minutes, pairings and all. So let's go back now. The pairings are complete. This is what the round's going to look like and the holes that they're going to start on. And the only other thing we want to check for, we never want to have in any given foursome a guy playing from the white tee, a guy playing from the gold tee, and a guy playing from the red tee. We don't have that in this case, but we look for it. What'll happen is this string, this string of characters will stretch out there. If you have a white men, a gold men, and a red men, this stretches out, catches our eye right away. And what we need to do then is to move somebody, like if there's only a gold men here, take the red men player on here and move them up to this group, as long as that doesn't mess up the numbers. Like I said, it's something you just have to, it's like juggling. You've got to watch every change that you make and see how it impacts everything else. And then you're good. And you're going to spend most of your time right here on the pairings, most of your time. So now we're going to go back here. Again, I use the breadcrumb to go back. And you see now it's highlighted. I can edit existing pairings if I needed to. But basically, I'm okay with this. The next thing is I need to send the pairings out to all of the players. So if I go here to the left panel, and we're in the rounds page again, I want to point that out to you. You're in the rounds page, left panel, center panel, and right panel. In the right panel, there's only two things you're going to use. Once the pairings are solid, you're going to click yes, push them out to the portal. That's what you would do right now. And then the other thing that you would do is you'd go down here to email the tee sheet. So when you clicked on email a tee sheet, it's going to bring you to the email function where you're going to be able to compose this tee sheet. Now, I'm sorry, the email that contains the tee sheet. I'm going to click none right here, but you're going to send this to all golfers. Okay, I'm going to click none because I really don't want anybody to get this. Don't worry about seeing any of the managers. They're all members, so they're all going to get this once you selected all golfers. Other emails, this is important. You want to put 2 additional emails in there. You want Castle Oaks Golf, then you want a semicolon, a space, and you want Castle Oaks at gmail.com. So you want them both, Castle Oaks Golf at gmail.com and Castle Oaks at gmail.com. So that's the other emails. Now, what this means is you're sending the tee sheet to the pro shop. And the pro shop, Bob or whoever, is going to take this tee sheet and compare it to the holds that they have in their system. They should have a block of times that they've held for us. And they're going to begin to populate each player position in that block of time with the people who are on our tee sheet. So that's an important step. That way, when the guys check in, they'll have the information right there in the system. Now, the other thing is get rid of this, anything here you don't need. You don't need 2024 Castle Oaks. Delete it. You don't need the alpha list and delete it. But it is the tee sheet for the 6-6 bogus round kip. That's going to be the subject matter. Down here, you want to click the 3rd button to include the tee sheet as both a link and attachment. Okay. And then down here is where you construct your message. I like to kick my font size up to 14, hit the cap lock key, additions and cancellations. 510-552-0015. Okay. And I really wanted to say contact by text. Okay. Then I put down any information, my carriage return, and drop my cap lock, and I type in any information about the round. You've read this a dozen times. You know exactly how these things read. If you want to know how they read, watch them when they come in over the next few weeks. Each day that you play, watch for when the tee sheet is mailed out to everybody. Watch for the way it's written up and kind of duplicate what the other guys are saying and doing. And then, of course, once this is done, you click send. I'm not going to click send because I really don't want to send it. Okay, and you'll notice that this says report center. Okay, so the email is actually part of the report center in the software. But I'm going to go back here to the bogus round here, and I'm going to click on report center. And by the way, make sure that you also, I know I said it before, but I'll say it again, show pairings in the league portal. A lot of our guys use that league portal to figure out who they're playing with and what hole they're starting on and all that good stuff. So you want the tee sheet out on the portal. Make sure you click it here. This pushes the tee sheet out to the portal. One other aspect, even before you begin any of this process, you see down here that says portal messages from members. If this is darkened, if it's highlighted and active, right now it's ghosted out. But if it's highlighted and active, make sure you click on it and pick up any messages that have come in from the portal to you. You are the game manager. Those messages are from members who use the portal to communicate directly with you. And there could be information in there like, oh, I got to withdraw. I'm sorry. they'll use that instead of going in and clicking not playing on their invitation message. And as far as you know, their name is still going to be active in the round player roster, but they're telling you down here they're not going to play. You don't want to do you don't want to build your entire tee sheet and then find out that you got to take a player off. Because if you do that, then you've got to go back into the round players. You got to find that player, Bill Tiemeyer. You've got to drop him, not attending. Got to go to edit existing pairings. I'll go right through the process. What the heck? I'm going to take Bill Tiemeyer out. Not attending. Go. Since the tee sheet is built from this confirmed page plus the guests, we want to make the change here. Once we make the change here, then we have to go back into edit existing pairings, and we're going to be greeted with a warning. And here's the warning. You changed the round confirmed roster, but did not create a new schedule to reflect these changes. Generate new pairings. Don't do that. You lose all the work that you did. Keep existing pairings. Do that. You're going to click the existing pairings. You're going to find Bill Tiemeyer right here, and you're going to remove the player. So we click remove player, Bill Tiemeyer, and that's it. Okay. Now at this point, you can either send out a new tee sheet to everybody or not. By the way, you would add the players the same way. Make sure you add them to the confirmed list using that same process. You go to the round player roster. GoDaddy-O. Oh, I got to click leave here. Okay, round player roster. You notice that Tiemeyer is gone, but all of a sudden down there in the messages, you got a message from Kim Smith. He wants to play. So now I got to add him. Okay. And go back into edit existing pairings. Adding Kim Smith. Again, keep existing pairings, but we want to add a player. And the player we want to add is Kim Smith. Click on that. Player is Kim Smith, and we don't have any place to add them. Can hardly see it, but I added them here. What I had to do was add another row so that I could add Kim Smith in there. And of course, now we've got a really messed up tee sheet. Do we take Bill Tiemeyer out? Well, see, I didn't save all that, so that's why he's still in here. And I want to remove him. And then I'm just going to swap players here. I'm going to take Kim Smith, and I'm going to put him into Bill Tiemeyer's spot. Make sure Tiemeyer is out of here. Remove players, Tiemeyer, and save pairings. Now, Kim is a 16-9. See how that's impacted the balance of that team? Not bad. Yeah, I can go with that. So now you could go back, for instance, and resend out the tee sheet to the members. And you've seen this, you've gotten the emails before where the game managers said, okay, I have a modified tee sheet or an updated tee sheet. This would be the final one before play, that type of thing. So these are the types of changes that are being made at the last minute, and that's how you make these changes. So the final step in your process is to print the scorecards. I like to go over here to Report Center. I know it says print scorecards here, but I like to go over to the Report Center, and I'm going to show you why. If I say print scorecards here, it's going to pull up all of our scorecards. But I have to do a right scroll for all of these scorecards. And there's a lot of them, a lot of them. As you can see, I'm not done yet. I don't like doing that. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to go to Report Center and I go to scorecards. And now all of my cards are in a grid. Okay. Now the first bunch of scorecards that have these things should really be deleted. I'll have to go and clean that up. They shouldn't even be in here. Yeah. All of these copies of these. So my game managers get out of hand a little bit. They start doing copies of this, copies of that, making changes, and then they leave the copies in here. I got to pull these copies out. But the other ones are prefaced with COS. COS is Castle Oak Swingers. All of these cards belong to the ladies. Okay, this is the games that they play. These are their scorecards. Don't touch their scorecards. Whatever you do not mess with the ladies' scorecards. So I go to page 2, and on page 2, I'm going to see there's a couple of more ladies' scorecards. Then Hoffman, forget that. That was a special case. And then scorecard. As soon, ours are going to start with senior men. Senior men. When you see senior men, by the way, this is all alphabetical order. Senior men. And then from here on down are all of the scorecards. And I need to find the one that says 6, 6, and 6. So I'm scrolling down here trying to find 6, 6, and 6. I don't see it yet. I go to page 3. And here we go. Last man standing, mystery, point par, point bogey, point for dough. 6, 6, and 6, A, B, A, C, and A, D. So I'm going to say edit that. But when I click edit this scorecard, it's going to take all of the tee sheet information that I created, which is right here, our 8 groups. You see this, Kim Smith and Bill T-Mars place. All the starting times, the holes, everything's here under the pairing groups. And so I just verify that, make sure you're looking at the right one, because if you don't have the right round up here, it's going to pull the information, the tee sheet in for whatever round is up here. Whatever round you see here is the round you're dealing with. Okay, so be careful. If you've selected the wrong round for some, you're really up the old creek, proverbial creek, if you put this together. So you got to make sure you're in the right group. Check, just verify your tee sheet looks correct. The pairing groups. Click on format. This is a formatted card. You don't touch any of this, okay? You can see that it's formatted so that the starting hole is in yellow, and you can see how the teams are set up. So it's A, B versus C, D for the 6, 6, 6 play for the first 6 holes. Then it's A, C versus B, D for the next 6 holes. And then it's A, D versus B, C for the last 6 holes. And the card explanation of how to play the game is over here, and so on. Now, if you scroll down, you're going to get a representation of what the cards actually look like down here when the data is filled in. And you can see all of a sudden where it says 666 bogus round Kip Tuesday, July 9th. That's what comes off the calendar. That's why it's so important for you to make sure that the proper round is on the calendar, because it will take the information from the calendar and put it on the scorecard right here. Okay, so here you can see it doesn't show you all the scorecards. It just shows you most of them. It goes to 17A, so 16 and 15 is not there. And you see it also has the dots on the card. It also has the index. Yeah, Bill Lewis is a +1. Good player. Hasn't played yet with us, but I know him well from the Mason Meadow era. And so the player's handicap, and this is the stroke handicap, not the index. There's the stroke handicap for their play is over here to the right. The dots where they get strokes across the card. And if that's not showing up for some reason, it's because it has to be set up here. So here for the format, yeah, we're going to do US letter landscape. That's the page. Now we're going to print across the page, 18-hole card. You're going to print 2 cards per page, show every player and all players on a given scorecard. Okay. Then for the handicap and stroking, you want to, all you do is check this one, print net stroke play with full handicaps. You make sure that this is checked off, print handicap stroke dots on card, and that this is checked off, print playing handicap. That's the actual numbers that you get over here on the right-hand side. The player's handicap is the number of strokes they actually get. Additional information, you want these 4 checked. Highlight starting hole, that's where this color comes in on the starting hole. Show T abbreviations. Include initials, that's the initials that you see over here. Include a column for initials, and so there's the initial column. If you didn't have that checked off, this is start right here with hole number 10. But this says initials, so it's putting the initials column in. You want to print blinds on the card. If you have selected blinds back on the pairing page, and which you can do, they would now print on the card as blind draws. Print tees played by golfers in the pairing group, and yes, you do want that. In other words, Don Carr is playing from gold, Kip Garvey is playing from gold, King Kong is playing from gold, he's my guest, and Pat Holland is playing from red. Okay, you see that down there on the cards, and you verify that down here. There's the tees that they're playing from. All right, that's how the data gets from the system onto the cards. Once you're satisfied that everything is looking good, you say save and print down here. And next. And the system is going to do that whirly thing again. And it's going to produce a PDF file with 2 scorecards on each page. Your job will be to separate the scorecards, cutting them, and putting them together in sets of 2 for each hole. Okay, so you'll notice that when you print the PDF, it only prints 1 copy of each scorecard. So when it comes time for you to actually print the scorecard, in this particular case, it looks like we can print, but we can also, this is giving me the context now. I can put text onto the PDF. Let me try that. So group number 1, I want to say, take out number 2, number 8, number 11. Number 8, comma, and number 11. Just cleaning things up. I have my cap lock on. Didn't realize it. Okay. You get down here to 17B. 17B is the folks who pick up 16. So we tell them, pick up number 16. Hole number 16, these are the guys that take out 16. So we tell them, take out number 16. And 15 is going to pick up everything except 16. So they're going to pick up number 2, number 8, number 11. Sometimes I don't get this functionality. I don't understand why yet, but sometimes I don't get this functionality on the PDF. But this time I did. I see the T and that's text, and I can add text to the PDF file. So that's I'm just double checking here and making sure that they look okay. And not that we're going to do anything with it. What happened here? Yeah, that should be there. It's there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go over here to my print function. And in my print function, I want 2 copies. So I get 2 of each, but I don't want them collated. I want it to print page 1, then print page 1 again, then print page 2, print page 2 again. That way I can put page 1 and page 2 together and just cut them both at the same time. And I have 1A together, 2 scorecards for 1A and 2 scorecards for 1B. All right, just simplifying the process a little bit. And then you click print, which I'm not going to do. And it will print all the scorecards out for you just like that. So there you have it. You're ready to run your game now. You've done all of the steps necessary to get this done. I'm going to hopefully leave the page. I go back. And I go to my bogus round again. And that's it, folks. You're ready to take the cards with you. Along with, you want to print out your T-sheet as well. Let me show you how you do that too. As long as we're here, go to Report Center. Go to this league. And there are just a few reports here. One of them says T-sheet. It's right here. And you say print. And it's going to print a PDF copy of your T-sheet when it gets done. And you take, I like to print out 2 copies of this just in case the Pro Shop didn't get our T-sheet. That's happened once in a while. So download the PDF and did I click on that? Download PDF. Oh yeah, it's up here. So it's there it is right there. It's in my downloads. I'll click on it and there's what the T-sheet looks like. That's what you guys see and take with you to check off the names as they come in. You want to check off their names that they pay their $8 and so on. You might want to write in Brian Barber and on your copy of the T-sheet, write in, I think Alan Bierce is who we said would be a good draw for him. And then let Vic Dowdy know that Brian's going to be playing with him, but you're not going to use his score. You're going to use Alan Bierce's score, and Alan is with Paul Grange. So then you check the people in, collect all the money and so on and so forth. And doing the payouts is another process. I'm not concerned with that in this video because this video is more or less geared to just getting you through Golf Genius and reaching this point where you're able to play. Okay, so I'm going to dump that and I'm going to return breadcrumb wise to my and say, okay, I'm done here so I can get out of here, right? Everything okay? I'm just glancing around, seeing if I skipped anything. And I haven't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to blow off this whole bogus round. Now, your job, I'm going to create a bogus round for each of you. And when we meet for our face-to-face meeting here, your task is going to be to go through the whole process that I just went through with this bogus round. You're going to put together your bogus round of play at my house. And each of you will be dealing with a different day of play. I'm going to pre-populate the player roster for you. And I may or may not give you a guest. I'm may or may not give you a portal message. But I just expect you to go right through the process and work it all out. Believe me, once you've done this twice, 3 times, it's a snap. So at any rate, that's good. This has been fine. Let me see if I can get back to talking to you straight up here. This has been a really good adventure. You can hang on to this video if you want, play it back several times, get used to the whole process. It seems to be a lot. Believe me, it's not. Well, maybe it is. Who knows? It's kind of individual. If you're friendly with computers, it's going to be a lot easier. The more friendly you are with your computer, you'll find it easier to deal with this. Okay, so that's it. End of the video, and we'll see you soon. Bye.